Okie welcome everyone. My name is Claire Brown. I am the Senior Campaign Manager here at Birchal. We are an equity crowdfunding platform that allows everyday Australians to invest in the brands they love. I'd like to start with an acknowledgement of country. Birchal is based in Melbourne, Victoria, which is also the home of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and I pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. I'm really excited to be joined today by Michael O'Reilly, who is the founder and CEO of Next World Enterprises. They're currently running an expression of interest campaign on Birchal for their, Mike, I can let you introduce yourself and talk about the brand. But the way that it's going to run today is that we're going to hear a bit of a presentation from Michael about Next World, their plans for the future and some of their really exciting traction to date. And then we'll hop into a Q&A session. So if you've got any questions, please use the Q&A chat down the bottom and we'll get to the questions as they come through. So Michael, over to you. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much, Claire, and thank you, Birchal, and everyone there listening in or watching the investor presentation we're about to give. I think just want to start by saying it's a really exciting time for the virtual reality space, for the metaverse. I'm sure you're seeing a lot of news out there at the moment around what's going on with this metaverse concept, if you're familiar with it, but certainly, look at what Facebook's done recently with their purchase of Oculus, the headset technology, and what they're planning to do with the metaverse. And they see that as the future of the internet. Look also widely to what happened recently with ByteDance and TikTok, and they've purchased another very large hardware supplier for virtual reality, being Pico. And even today, there's some more massive news coming out of the VR space with Unity Technologies purchasing Weta, which is a Peter Jackson owned business. And the news keeps coming, and these are all big macro forces at play here. And luckily for Next World, we've been in this space now for a good few years, so we're starting to really come into our own with really good value proposition, a really good product line. So I feel like our timing is really impeccable, and this space is really hotting up. It's an amazing time to be in this space, and I'm really looking forward to sharing some of my passion for this space with you all here today. So we'll have some questions at the end. Keep them coming at the end, and we'll hopefully answer anything that you've got to say. So I want to talk first and foremost about, just what is the problem we're solving here. And it's pretty easy to think what's going on in workplaces here in Australia and around the world. They're all very similar, and they've all been teaching their workers or training their workers in the same way for a very long period of time. So the problem is the status quo. The problem is death by PowerPoint. It is classroom training. It is e-learning. They are three modes of training we use in our workplaces these days to get the message across, to keep people safe, to keep them productive, to keep them engaged. But the sad reality of these modes is that they are failing us. It is unequivocal, proven, and we've just not until now had an alternative, a better way. And Next World is really looking to exploit that. And if you look at some of the key problem data, if you look at, say, for example, e-learning, only 10% of people even finish the e-learning they start. And when you consider that, that's a massive problem. These businesses, your businesses, are looking to e-learning to solve a problem, whether it be to make sure your people aren't bullying other people by participating in anti-bullying training, whether that is a safety course, which has a critical safety outcome you're seeking. That's a major problem. E-learning is failing us. It is unequivocal and proven. And if you look at it also from a knowledge acquisition and retention perspective, only 10 to 20% of knowledge retention actually happens from traditional learning after just a couple of weeks. Again, this is not new. This is well known. It has been failing us for decades. It's a massive problem. And also, just 15 cents in every dollar goes to the training itself when you put your workers through training. A lot of it goes into non-productive time, flights and accommodation to the training, logistics type costs, etc. So really, we're not getting the dollar spent in the area it needs to be, which is getting people really equipped with the relevant knowledge and getting more productive as a consequence. And very importantly, this is really important to my heart, is that 60% of workplace accidents are actually caused by one or more factors associated with workplace training. So it's a massive problem, but therein lies the opportunity, my friends. I've gone too far there. Our solution is all about trying to use the modern technology we have in the form of virtual reality to make people learn more, learn faster, be more engaged, and be safer in the workplace. And we've come up with a very unique solution to this problem. The first part of our solution is our platform, our software as a service learning platform of the future. a VR learning management system, if you will. So we've all seen learning management systems in their conventional format, where e-learning gets deployed and so forth. We are a future-oriented VR learning management system. We've had to build this platform from scratch to make sure it would cope with the needs of VR and AR and so forth into the future. Far richer data sets, far more information. It needs to be a lot more complex, that platform. We've built it. We've already started it. It's built and there's customers using it. And we offer that to our customers as a software as a service platform. Within that, and I analogized our platform with like an Xbox, for example. So our platform is an Xbox. If you've got an Xbox, you need games for your Xbox. And that's a big problem we've overcome. We've already built a library of off-the-shelf VR learning management system learning experiences. And they're already out there available to our customers. And that library is ever growing. And that library is available on a software as a service subscription also. So it's a two-folded solution to our customers. They get to solve their problem with the whole solution. A platform which manages, tracks, and deploys learning experiences, and the learning experiences themselves, which are rich in data, rich in analytics, and can help them solve their problem, making sure people learn more. The third key part of our platform and our overall solution, which we're going to be building out, and one of the big reasons for this raise, is to build out our marketplace. So we've already identified a number of customers, a number of companies who build learning experiences, not in our laneway, who can really add utility to our platform. They're out there. There's many, many learning experience developers out there in the VR space who don't have a platform to which to monetize their learning experiences. We're going to build that for them. We call it the App Store of the VR Learning Management System marketplace. We also build custom experiences, but we try not to do too much of that because we don't view that as very scalable. That's important to us. So I'm going to move on a little bit until the next part here on our solution. So we've told you what the problem is, very well-known problem. Death by PowerPoint is not something it's something we've all heard before. Our solution is very multifaceted and deals with the real problems. And the beauty about our solution is that it increases productivity. It increases worker productivity by optimizing learning outcomes, by making sure people are boosting their knowledge retention. They boost their knowledge retention by up to 8 times more than traditional learning. That's proven. That's proven through many reports, university journals, scientific journals, that knowledge retention, knowledge acquisition and retention is far superior in VR-based learning because it is more engaging, more immersive. You can put people in high-risk situations without them actually being in the high-risk situation in virtual reality. So we get 80% 1 year after training, more improved knowledge retention compared to just 20%, 10 to 20% with traditional means. We minimize risk for businesses. That's enormous. If you're sending your employees to workplace health and safety training right now or anti-bullying training right now, you know, unfortunately, they're only retaining a very little amount of that. And that's a real problem because you've sent them to that training with the requirement that they'll come out with all this really important knowledge. Our training makes sure you come out with that knowledge. And when you have that knowledge, particularly safety-based training, you are then more safer because you have that knowledge. One follows the other. It increases engagement, our training methodology, our VR learning platform. That's enormous. Workers these days, especially the younger generations, they really want to be engaged. They really want to be part of a business which has technology advancement at the forefront of their thinking, that is innovative and that engages them. VR does that like no other. Traditional training just doesn't engage. How often have you walked past the classroom only to see people on their phones? They're not engaged with the learning content. They're engaged with their phone. That's a massive problem. We reduce costs for businesses. Non-productive time costs associated with sending people away from training. People that can now learn on the job, grab and go training with our VR learning experience library and our VR learning solution. These are big improvers for businesses, making them more productive, safer, and more efficient when it comes to training. This has been proven. So this is a beautiful time in the way we evolve workplaces around Australia and indeed around the world. We've built our platform to be very scalable. We've done this in short order. We were conceived about 5 years ago as a concept, and 3.5 years ago, we started building our MVP. And this year has been year one of our commercialization strategy. Already this year, we have very significant wins on the board. We've won awards, we've won accolades, we've already expanded into new markets, albeit we're still at a small customer base, only about 50 customers. That is all been achieved in this year alone. That's impressive. When it comes to that business model, I just want to touch on that one more time. It is a multifaceted software as a service model. So there's various revenue streams, and we have some ideas from additional revenue streams down the track in experience, advertising, and those sorts of things. We'll get to those eventually, but we want to make sure our platform is built in a scalable, efficient manner first. But they are our revenue model opportunities. So software as a service for learning experiences on a per headset basis, unlimited use. Our customers have on average 4 headsets. Some have 10 or more, some only have 1. That is up to the business and also the critical mass of the business from an employee perspective. Enterprise level is where you have 10 or more headsets. And our platform, our insights platform, where a lot of rich data and analytics in the form of heat maps that you see in the middle can be yielded to the supervisors and managers. We charge $9.90 a month for that and $1 per user over $2,000 thereafter. We also charge for our marketplace once it's up and running. Very similar to the App Store model. So who's buying our technology? We have a very good array of people buying our technology within the businesses that we target. But importantly, the ones who are seemingly buying our technology are L&D managers, learning and development managers, general managers of training, general managers of L&D, direct L&D people. They seem to be the people with the investment money to go into this technology. They are very interested in it. VR is extremely hot to them right now. They're very warming to us coming to them and having a chat about it. They are the primary buyer. They're the budget holder. They're the decision maker. They're the ones. We've found trainers in particular are very influential, and they've been very supportive also, especially because they're forward facing when it comes to the consumer, the trainee. So when they stick on the headset, the penny drops, they say, oh, wow, 9 times out of 10, and they see the merit, and they are real big advocates and influencers of our technology. HSE managers are big influencers also, not so much buyers, but they're very big influencers because they see safety outcomes coming their way. Big weapon in the fight for positive safety outcomes is good quality training. They see this as a very big enabler for them. General managers are big influencers also, but sometimes decision makers because they see their lost time injury frequency rates. They see learning outcomes as an important thing for them. People's progression in the business, organizational development, there are important elements to them. That's why they're big influencers for our technology. I'll look inside the differentiation. Now, this is something which I want to touch on only very briefly because it's very difficult to show you the power of 3-dimensional immersive technology in a 2D landscape such as this. But what you are seeing here is some in-experience snippets of what our people, when they're going into the learning experiences, actually see. So what you can see is it's dynamic, it's real life. You're interacting with objects. You're selecting things within the experience. You're selecting whether or not they're a high priority, if they're a hazard or a low priority. And you're getting to make decisions in a gamified environment, which is well proven to be extremely immersive, really engaging, and gets people involved in their learning. They start to enjoy it again, which is something you can't say about a lot of traditional training, unfortunately. So it's very important, that part. One of the really interesting differentiators about us is that we've gone out and started building a library of learning experiences. Now, you won't find this out there very much. Now, it took money, it took investment to do it, and it took commitment to our conviction. Now, there's no point having an Xbox if you've got no games. That was our philosophy from the get-go. And what we're seeing right now is a lot of businesses have started to approach us saying, hey, we've got a platform, but we've got no experiences, we've got no content. Can we get your content? And we flat out refuse because we're not going to enable our competitors. We want to have a platform with tons of rich, valuable content on it. And that's only going to expand from here on in. And we're going to localize it, have it multilingual, and have it as the epicenter for VR LMS moving forward. It is an important decision we've made strategically, which is actually paying big dividends for us now. Our customers love that there's a ready-made access of library content in the VR LMS. So we've already built a ton of experiences and there's more coming. There's 2 more underway. And we've already had an arrangement with Flint in Poland to build more experiences to accelerate that. And we're actually going to take an equity stake in that business too, which is massive news for us as we expand our catalogue of development. So a lot of these you'll see are very safety related. We're very mindful of that. We've found that safety experiences make up a very big bulk of what's required in a typical business learning management system or learning matrix or training matrix, as you might hear them referred to. So that's why we've focused on that area. That doesn't mean we're not going to provide solutions or utility across other things like diversity inclusion training, soft skills, financial, legal type training. We will have solutions for that, but we'll leave that to those experts and we'll bring them into our platform as third-party providers. All of this is on our catalog right now for development. So that's how we differentiate. We're actually a software as a service education technology business with our VR learning experiences. We merge in really valuable IP when it comes to tracking of eye movements within our VR learning experiences, which allows us to see what people are looking at and what they're looking at and not interacting or interacting with. And that's important because it really can reveal some amazing blind spots. And that technology is only going to grow into the future, which provides valuable insights. So here's a bit of a snapshot about who's been some of our early stage customers that we've acquired. And as you can see, it's a really big, broad spectrum. You've got local governments, you've got training organizations, you've got people in service sector, construction companies, oil and gas suppliers, heavy equipment suppliers, transport and logistics, utilities and infrastructure like water networks. You've got aggregates companies, you've got casino operators, you've got an amazing array of customers who are already coming on board with this, which really proves the scalability of this technology. In our experience library, there is something in it for everyone, and we've built it that way. And then they expanded.
I just lost my power. Sorry for that. I just lost my power briefly, but I'm back. Please continue. Sorry.
No worries. No worries. I forgive you. No, all good, mate. So they started with a single headset and then they expanded to platform and more headsets. And now they're actually advocating us to their customers in the UK. Massive, massive achievement for us. Komatsu, one of the largest companies in the world, a Fortune 500 company, have enough power in their relationship with us and enough thought about us as a supplier to them that they started with a custom experience and now they've expanded that. And typically, I really do believe that we could be a global supplier to Komatsu in time. So we're showing some land and expand capability. Now, for the really investor-heavy thinkers out there, here's some really important customer lifetime value metrics that we've only found in a very short period of time. So I want to caveat that. We expect these numbers to only get better. But our gross lifetime value to cost of customer acquisition ratio is 7.8. For a SaaS model, that's really good, as you know. 3 is often the norm you'll see there. So what that shows us is that we've got a lot of room to move. And if we get more money into the business, then every cent of that's going to go into more BD, more marketing, more growth in the market. So that's great. That's good news. Our cost of customer acquisition is about $8,000 and our lifetime value is 64. We're seeing that increase already since this slide was built. Now, it's too early to tell you what our churn rate is. Currently, there's no churn. So it's less than 1%. There will be churn and will be under 7%. So we've done some assessments of our total addressable market, and this is such an evolving beast. So I feel almost nervous talking with you about it. You see some statistics out there about the global digital online technology space in the hundreds of billions of dollars. You talk about VR in isolation growing to $25 billion by next year. There is massive numbers in this space, and we're really transcending VR, digital learning, ed tech. They're converging in a massive way. This market could be enormous. But on the easy to acquire numbers that we've seen and just taking ourselves into medium to high risk enterprises with 100+ employees, just being really, really conservative with our assessment. There is a big market already in Australia. On 1% ARR, $9 million. That's just on 1% of the market if we get that. In the US, 132 and globally, 4.7 billion. It's an enormous market. And I strongly believe it's even bigger than what we're assessing here for you. Our key strategy when it comes to partners. So we believe in the 1 to 10 philosophy of business development. We can only achieve certain market growth by ourselves by adding BD people. So we try to forge really strong strategic partnerships in very distinct global geographical regions. And we've got those in New Zealand, the Gulf Coast region in Middle East, UK, obviously here in Australia, and in the US. And importantly, in Australia, we've had a lot of success with our key partnerships, particularly with Peak Services, the Local Government Association of Queensland's commercial arm. So that's been extremely successful for us. And it's allowed us to get a lot of local governments as customers. So we're doing a land and expand strategy, 1 to 10, with key targets in geographical areas. And because they're locals, they get received extremely well, as opposed to us flying in and trying to do it remotely. In time, we will have our own people in the ground, but we want to reach a tipping point, a critical mass first. We've achieved a lot, as I mentioned in the very opening slide, in a very short period of time. And we do have extremely grandiose, visionary plans. We are extremely visionary when it comes to what we hope to achieve. But in a short period of time, we've had a lot of accolades. We were a Code 2020 finalist in the Startup Scale-Up strategy in 2020. We were a winner of Advanced Queensland Ignite Fund Award in 2020 also. And very recently, we were asked by Australian Landing Pad in San Francisco through Austrade to join that San Francisco landing pad and also go to the second stage with them. So we've been very lucky to get some of these assistance packages and get some accolades. And we've just also the other day had 3 nominations recognized by the LearnX Awards, which is fabulous news for us, for our team, for our customers, and for a COVID response too. Now, a little bit about competitors. Now, this is really fascinating because, as I said earlier on, we've got our mothership, we've got our learning experiences, we've got the marketplace component coming along line, and we've got custom build. So I've got these 4 areas, these quadrant here for you to look at. And there's plenty of businesses out there building these off-the-shelf experiences. Many of them are very narrow in terms of their niche or their focus area. And a lot of them don't even have a platform from which to deploy their learning experience. So they're actually really struggling to monetize because they lack that learning management system, that place, that repository where they can go that we've built. And we've seen that problem. So there's quite a few out there. Again, what I've said there, they're very niche. VR platforms, there's a few out there that we've seen and we've done 3 studies on our competitor analysis. We're doing it very regularly because it's the sort of thing which is evolving and unfolding very, very rapidly at the moment. So we've got our platform in there, the open marketplace, the aggregation tool, and the custom builds. So as you can see, there's really only 2 or 3 companies out there and around the world who have that 4-element value proposition. So the more we can push ahead, the more we will get harder to take over. And that's our aim. Okay. In terms of an investment summary, I just talked through a real couple of key points because I know I'm sort of 25 minutes in, but our key differentiation, our successful data-rich integration of VR training solutions. So that eye tracking thing I mentioned there before, that's very rare. And we use a tablet within the experience to monitor where people are looking. That's very unique technology. We've established a product stack with recurring subscription-based revenue. That's very different to everyone else out there. They don't have that. So as we continue to grow and get more customers, it's just going to be a hockey stick for us. We have an advanced insights platform, and that's only going to get better as we keep going and become more of a learning management system. We're tracking that data every month. We have a scalable platform based on a self-serve model. Companies can come in and get as many headsets as they like, get them sent to them, and away they go. We have a very strong onboarding strategy right now to make sure we're nurturing our customers. And hopefully in time, as VR adoption and digital literacy accelerates, that will become less required. We have an outstanding global macro alignment. I've talked about that from the get-go. It's getting better by the day. There's a company in the US I just looked about today called Glimpse. They listed about 3 months ago. They have about $3.5 million annualized revenue, market cap 130, just because they're in the VR space. It's unbelievably strong growth at the moment. So we're in that VR tech component. We're in the ed tech space. A lot of our technology is very safety oriented. Look at companies like Safety Culture, what they've done in the last few years, taken a business from very small, $2 billion valuation recently. So they've done some amazing stuff. It's a very hot sector and we're transcending a lot of the key lines. Hate talking about myself, but I suppose everyone, if they're going to look at investing in Next World, they want to know a little bit about myself. So I'm a behavioral scientist. That's why I care passionately about VR technology. It's immersive, it's engaging. It gets people going when it comes to their learning. And it's so important for them and for businesses to get it right. And we have that chance to evolve right now. I have a lot of experience in heavy industry and I've worked overseas a lot. I've seen the way people learn. And there's nothing like this. There's nothing like what we've built here, this technology stack. This is my second most successful business. So I've built another business which has been around for 16 years called Harness Group. And it's a traditional RTO with a labor supply arm. It's a big business, independently run by the CEO over there. So it's not my first rodeo, and I love doing businesses that actually make a difference for people like this one. Our board, now this is really impressive, particularly Zach, who came in as an early stage investor to this business. He saw the writing on the wall for this business a long time ago, saw what it could do, and he threw his money in, not just his position as a director. He's started over 6 businesses himself, extremely successful on our board, great advisor, as is Imran. And we've had a really good leadership group for many, many months now, particularly our head of software, Dale, who's a key architect towards what we've been building. Our BD team is extremely successful, and we've got great key players in places like Dubai, the UAE. Our marketing group with Charlotte is extremely well led, extremely strong from a digital tech perspective. And Dr. Lewis Carter, he just builds learning experiences so powerful that the learning outcomes are just the best. So we're very proud of our team here, and it's only going to grow. We're hiring more people right now. Got 2 platform devs starting at the moment, and another designer. So we're continuing to grow this team. That's our team. And the ask at the moment is 100,000 to 300,000, which helps us get through some of these little growth areas that we're trying to focus on, particularly around business development and the third-party marketplace. So that's where most of the money will be spent, particularly with the BD team, increasing the marketing spend, but also most importantly around the platform and that key marketplace component, which we believe will open up that third revenue stream really nicely, but also give more utility to our existing customers of our learning platform, because they'll be able to access a lot more learning experiences, and it'll be more of a complete solution for them, which is what they really would like. And it's what we want to give them too. So that's pretty much it, guys. So I want to thank you very much for your attention, for your participation, and I'll hand over to Claire now to take any questions. Hopefully I do them justice. Thank you, guys. Appreciate your time.
No worries at all. All right, let me get myself back up and I will. Alrighty, start off our Q&A. So if anyone's got any questions for Michael or the team, please pop it into the Q&A chat box down the bottom. Kicking off the batting, a question that was emailed through to me was asking about the risks associated with business. As you're saying, it's a great growth space in VR. What are some of the key risks you see for next world enterprises?
I think the key risk for us is moving too slow. And that's one of the reasons why we've gone out with this capital raise, to be honest with you. I think there is, I say this a lot, it's a land grab. It's a really big land grab. It's like America is starting to, in the 1700s, 1800s, are starting to head west. And as they're going west, they're pegging their own properties and their land. The VR space, the XR space is a land grab right now. We have to scale fast. We have to make sure we open up our marketplaces and grow our technology stack and acquire customers, enter new geographical regions. So that's the biggest risk for us, is being too slow, being slow to scale. That's our biggest risk in my view, because we're onto something and we're actually ahead of the pack when it comes to a lot of our technology stack. There are other risks, cash flow risks, competitor risks. Another reason why I'm really keen on us moving fast is because, Facebook just said they're going to hire 10,000 employees in Eastern Europe. I mean, we're just working with a business in Poland. I mean, surely they're going to target our employees, right? So, there's massive money going into the space. That's a big risk for us. Some of these competitors can just put tons of money into it. But equally at the same time, Facebook have said they're going to put $150 million into content development, which shows you that they lack it right now and they need it. So which also validates what we've done, which is building content.
Another question that's come through is, are you able to take real estate through the Meta? Is there any connection in the future there, or do you think that would be a group that you'd look to approach?
That's a really great laneway. It's a really great niche. I think there's plenty of businesses out there that are using VR, AR for real estate, and good on them. I think they're onto something really good there. And it's one of the strong growth areas for VR technology. It's not on our radar. We don't believe in chasing too many rabbits, because if you chase too many rabbits, you catch none. So for us, we're very, very focused on VR learning platform, VR learning experiences, ed tech of the future.
Another question that's come through is asking about the amount you're looking to raise and about the $300,000 maximum target. Is $300,000 enough to really grab a chunk of market real estate? And what are you looking to use the funds for at that target?
Yeah, for us, there is twofold reason for the $100,000 to $300,000 target. The first thing is it's good capital to help us with our targets, being the third-party marketplace, more marketing, more business development. That will help us a lot with that aim, with that objective. The second thing about this, though, for us, and this is serious, is about democratizing our business. We believe strongly, that's why we've gone with Birchal, to bring on people who wouldn't otherwise have access to early stage investment opportunities like this technology. I mean, you can't go out and get access to a float right now around VR because you'll never get access. That's the problem we have here in Australia and around the world right now. We wanted to use this platform to democratize our business, to allow people access to investment in it, because we believe we're into a very strong growth corridor here.
And look, that's really interesting that you mentioned that, because that's a strategy that we're seeing quite commonly across the equity crowdfunding space, not only just in Australia, but also in the UK. So while there are normal capital raising rounds that companies do where they might be raising more than they need, and they maybe do it only once or twice, what we're finding increasingly in crowdsource funding rounds is that companies like yourself will raise a modest amount to execute on a very particular business target. And then once they've achieved those growth goals, they may go back to the crowd in 6 months' time, 12 months' time. But often they go forward to institutional investors and to large investors as well. So that makes a lot of sense.
Totally clear. And can I also just say on that too, that for us, it's important that we build our brand through our shareholders. Our shareholders will become advocates. They will become influencers of our business. They will introduce our business to their businesses, to their companies that they work with and for. And for us, it's a great opportunity to get out there amongst the Australian marketplace and get access to more people who will influence and support our business.
And a question's come through about the plan for future fundraising. Now, for all those attending, crowdsource funding is a great way to raise capital, but there are some quirks to it. So things like ASX listings, any promise on return on investment, or any information that may be considered speculative under the ASIC regulations, we actually can't discuss in public forums like this. But Michael, I'm sure you've got a bit of a plan broadly for Next World Enterprises and at different levels that you'll need to raise more funds and raise further capital. Do you have a broad brushstroke idea of the sort of funding that Next World may need to raise in the next sort of 2 to 5 years?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's start at the end. So we believe we'll probably try to list in 2025 to 2027 window. We believe that's when we'll be at the most valuable we can build our business on our 5-year plan. So we've got a value creation strategy in place, our 5-year plans in place, and we're just charging ahead with that. We will have to raise capital along the way. There's no two ways about it. And for us, the capital just has to be used for growth. It has to be used to build this business. So every time we see an opportunity to grab a hold of capital to allow us to acquire 10 times what its value was to grow our business in the marketplace, we'll do it, absolutely. So we will be seeking further capital in the near term.
And with that caveat, great to hear you've got plans to list, but to all investors listening, we cannot guarantee that will happen, but good to know that is the broad brushstroke plan of the company. But yes, please read the risk warning and the offer document before investing. And some of the attendees are interested to know, if they invest within this round through a crowdsource funding round, will there be opportunities for crowdsource funding investors to invest again in the future? And will they know what that minimum investment amount would be? I imagine that you're probably focused on this round, but yeah, I had thoughts on that.
That's a really hard one to answer, to be honest with you, Claire. I think this one's treated as if it's our first and only. I think that would be my advice to investors out there. Treat it as if this is our first and only, and you may not get another chance. We are keen to democratize, but equally at the same point, we need to move fast. As a business, I've said it many times, timing is imperative for us, so we can't dilly-daddle.
A question's come through about limits on investing through a virtual round and what those limits are. So I can hop in and answer that one. For a retail investor, which is anyone in Australia over the age of 18, you can invest up to 10,000 Australian dollars in a single company within a 12-month period. So you can invest in Next World Enterprises up to $10,000 in this particular round. However, if you would like to invest more, you can, but you will need to provide at the time of your investment what's called a certificate of wholesale investor status, which you can acquire from your accountant in the form of an accountant certificate. So if you've got any questions on that, please reach out to me at Birchal or the Birchal support line, and we can send you through the template that you need to go and get prepared. But through the Birchal platform, people can invest as individuals, as companies, as self-managed super funds, or through trusts. So that is all available to you. If you are watching this webinar or tuning in from overseas and you are interested to invest in Nextworld through Birchal, we do accept investments from overseas investors, but it is really imperative that you just make sure for your personal financial situation and tax situation that it's okay from the jurisdiction that you're in to invest in a private Australian security. Slightly long-winded answer there, but if you've got any questions on that, please reach out to the Birchal team and we can give you guidance on how to invest in Nextworld through our platform. Another question has come through.
I'll decline that.
Very cool. Will you be a competitor to your harness energy training company as you will offer similar training through virtual reality?
It's a good question. I'm glad someone asked it actually. So the answer is no. They use our services. They use it in with their accredited training framework. It's a great little value add for them, and they acquire a lot of new customers because they are seen as innovative and all the rest of it. But with the RTO requirements in Australia, at least, you can use VR in most training packages as an augmenter, as an enricher of the training, but it often doesn't replace the accredited training requirements. There are some notable exceptions to that, where there are training that can be done through VR, but ostensibly no, the answer to that is no, not a competitor at all.
And in terms of the content that you create on the platform, I'm not sure if we sort of touched base on it too much, but a bit more about the IP and defensibility of the product around Nextworld and how that works. Is it IP around, as you're saying, Xbox and the games? Do you control IP for that, or how does that work in the business?
We find that the most important IP that we have is around our focus tracking and the eye gaze technology. That's the most unique component. So we find that is the best IP for us to protect. The platform itself, there may be some parts to that we can protect down the track from an IP perspective, our software code, so on and so forth, and even our learning experiences too. But we found that the thing which is most standing out as something we do need to protect is the eye focus and the gaze tracking technology that we've built into our learning experiences, which we then extrude into our platform and display as detailed data analytics and predictive analytics.
Another question's come through the comments asking if Facebook and the Metaverse is going to throw the $150 million at VR, what are your concerns about large companies overtaking outfits like Nextworld?
Just because they've got so much money, don't they? I mean, they could put a team of 5,000 people onto building learning experiences and a platform to compete with us. So up until now, they haven't indicated they're going to do that at all. They're very focused on the social relationship side of their VR exposure. It's for the Metaverse, social interactions, Instagram type stuff, Facebook type stuff. So they've showed that that's where they're going to focus. They've got some work around virtual reality office meetings, virtual office rooms and stuff like that, but they haven't indicated they're going into virtual reality learning platforms and that side of thing at this point in time. So that is my concern, though, that they could do that. Equally, what we're seeing Facebook too also do is go out and acquire businesses like ours. So they see that a business like ours is evolving, got a lot of content. If they've got $150 million to spend on content development, look at that. Well, maybe we'll go and approach them and try to buy them out. So I don't think this is going to be something that will invariably kill us, but I think that it's something for us to be concerned about because it will motivate us. It will make us push ahead fast. So that's my 2 cents worth on that, Steve. Hopefully that answers that question.
So as someone who's investing as an investor sort of in Nextworld Enterprises through the platform, what can they expect in terms of that investor relationship with Nextworld going on? You invest through the platform, the shares are settled. How often do you think investors can expect to hear from you? What will the updates be like? And how do you expect them to engage with the company, around?
Yeah, on the 100 to 300, we expect, 50 to 100 investors. That's what we expect probably in that realm. Maybe more, not sure. Claire, your experience with this is far better than me. You might be able to indicate, give me a sign. But I think that, that's really easy for us to liaise with. And as I said, we want our investors to be our advocates, to be our influencers amongst the public. So we want to be keeping you informed on a regular basis, at least monthly. we're going to set up forums where we can communicate announcements, little bits of news and information. We want you to hear about what we're doing on a regular basis and participating, giving us advice, what you're hearing in the market, pointing us in the right direction. So we hope for you to be a big part of our business.
And back to the technology itself, one potential investor has asked about how your technology works around accreditation.
Yep. So there's a couple of pieces to this. So one of the things which we find exciting about what we're doing here is that we could potentially use what we're doing as micro-credentials. Now, some people who are familiar with the EdTech space are familiar with micro-credentials. So we can capture lots of information and data within our VR experiences and correlate that with various units of competency, performance, and assessment criteria, therefore being able to give micro-credentials for various training units of competency. We would have to associate with an RTO, registered training organisation, to be able to do that. But that is very much in our thought process and something that we think we can do. We would just need to evolve that. We've got a few companies in mind that we think we could evolve that with, both RTO and industry. And that's a very interesting and exciting thought, whoever put that question forward, because it is something which can relate into units of competency, RTOs, and demonstrate an even more broad use case of our technology.
Well, I think it's very exciting as well, because you see courses like Coursera, LinkedIn Learning, a lot of other online e-learning courses have become very competitive and attractive platforms for people to go and do their training through, because to have a certificate at the end for employment opportunities, to start understand where they are, benchmarking with other industries, I think is fantastic. So you're right, it's incredibly exciting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was such a wonderful, sorry.
Oh, sorry, Claire. I was just going to say, one of the things on that too is that you've got to be really careful with that micro-credential stuff, because it's typically very regionalized, and regionalized means not scalable. So, if we built a learning experience to only map with an Australian qualification, we're restricting ourselves to a local market. So we have to build learning experiences which are geographically agnostic, but are done to a standard which people respect and approve as authoritative. So that's been a very distinct strategy in our Dr. Lewis's Carter's strategy to build our learning experiences. And something that, by me saying that, you will appreciate that, because this is all about being a scalable business. Now, we can't link ourselves to a geographical region unless there is a commercial outcome that's going to benefit our shareholders.
And on that note, an investor question has come through asking about the valuation of the company at this stage. So the question is, how have you come up with the current valuation for this share offering? On the basis of current financials, it seems to be overvalued, this investor says. I'm worried that if I invest now and there are potentially annual fundraisings until 2025, issuing additional shares, my investment may be diluted to an extent where I might not get a good return on investment.
Mm-hmm. I'll start with the dilution component. So I think that preserving shareholder value is critical. It's our job, right? It's our job is to preserve shareholder value. So if there is dilution, it's going to be me being diluted and yourself. And that is not something I want to do, or this business directors want to do or take lightly. We want to try to build this business in a delicate balance between raising capital and doing it ourselves. And that's important. So you will always have your concern at the front of our minds when we're thinking about investment and capital raising and all these sorts of things. That's important to us. What was the first part of that question?
Comments around the valuation of the business.
Valuation, sorry, of course, yes. So we had an independent valuation done by a company called Peloton early this year, which valued the business on a DCF basis of $36 million. Now, that was on the basis that we would hit targets this year. We're pretty much hitting them. So by the end of this year, we're pretty much on track to get that target on a de-risk basis. So we've picked a valuation currently for this capital raise of 25 mil, which is below that DCF base Peloton Peloton valuation, which for us seems quite fair-minded, particularly when a lot of the risk is now taken out by us achieving a lot of these milestones, particularly that business development milestone that was set for this year, which is the whole basis for that valuation. Now, I'll post something else to you. I shared a little bit earlier, a business in the UK called Glimpse, US called Glimpse. So listed a couple of months ago on $3.5 million of revenue, loss-making business, only a couple of years old, just like us, in a market like the US. And they raised $10 million, and they are now a market cap of $130 million. So I think that if you put all that together in the mesh with what's going on macro basis and so forth, this is an exciting investment opportunity.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I mean, we've had quite a few questions, and it's been an incredibly detailed presentation that you provided to investors today. So I think, we've probably got to the end of the discussion for today. It was really, really exciting to see that your investment round is opening tomorrow. A few more questions are coming through. If anyone's got any final questions, we'll ask those questions now and then wrap up. Actually, no, the question that's come through has the name of the other company that you have founded and grown, and that was
Harness Group, or harnessenergy.com.au.
harnessenergy.com.au is that question. But yeah, the offer is looking to go live tomorrow. So those who've expressed interest in this deal will be the first to see the offer when it goes live and have the first chance to invest in this campaign. If you haven't yet had a chance to see a draft of the offer document, please reach out to Michael and the Next World Enterprises team, because they do have it prepared in a draft format to send around to investors. And I know that their team is open to having a chat with any investors before the offer goes live. If you'd like to ask some more information on the valuation or any of the financials in the offer document. And if you do have any questions about the platform at all, the investment process, or how it all works in Birchal, please reach out to me at support@birchal.com. I will be monitoring our support lines and will be there to pick your question. I might pass it back over to Michael just to wrap up. Thank you so much again for your time today. Really, really, really exciting space.
Yeah, thanks, Claire. And thanks for everyone who participated today, asked questions, and have expressed interest in our business. I'm extremely passionate about this business. I love it to death. And I think we're onto something really special here. Very rarely do you get an opportunity to make such a big difference. And I think we're at a really great point of timing with this business. We've built it to the point we have over the last 3.5 years to be at a point where we have a platform, we have a bunch of learning experiences right when the macro forces are at an absolute frenzy. So I think that there's a lot of things that are tailwinds behind us right now. And for us, this capital raise will only help that. You together with us will help that. And I'm really looking forward to this round completing and moving forward with you all.
Amazing. Thank you so much again for your time today. Thank you to everyone who attended. We're recording the session. So apart from a little blip in the middle where I totally lost power and my recording stopped, we'll be sending around a version of the recording for you to catch up on afterwards as well, if you'd like to rewatch it. Thanks very much.
Thanks, everyone. Have a lovely day.